This is how to make banging KFC style hot wings at home. What I was quite surprised about is like how little resource there is, how to make really good fried chicken. I reckon that's because a lot of people have recipes that they like to try and keep close to their chest, and everyone's got their own little tackers. It's quite a little bit of trial and error, and I also think there's a bit of personal preference that goes on with chicken. What I'm doing now is making a marinade for the wings, and we marinate our wings for at least 8 hours. What I add there is a little bit of chicken stock, some sriracha, some water, and a little bit of dashi powder. I'm using flats. I love flats. I think they're the superior part of the chicken wing. But you can do this with whole chicken wings if you like to. They're a bit more easy to eat. Realistically, what you want is not to be chewing on a chicken bone. You want to slip the bones out nice and easily. The meat to come cleanly off each side of the bone. I'd marinate those for 8 hours, made a few ahead of time. And the salt in there and the kombu is just going to do all the work and make them really nice and juicy, tender and flavoured all the way through. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to steam these wings. If you don't have a steamer, you could just very simply bake them in the oven. Get rid of that first layer of raw toughness to the wings. Steam them 35 minutes. If you were baking them, you could bake them for like 20 minutes, fairly low temperature. You will lose a little bit of the marinade, but I'm going to show you how to make a sauce with it. Basically a buffalo style sauce afterwards, so nothing will be wasted. Whilst that steams, I'm just going to make my dry dredge. If you're cooking a wing from fresh, lots of the moisture will just naturally escape, and that'll create a barrier between the wing and the dry dredge, which will make it sort of flake off. So you can get the craggiest, most beautiful chicken wing you've ever seen, but if when you're eating it, all of the wing sort of falls apart and you get left with chicken and dry dredge, what's the point? But inside this dry dredge, we've got baking powder, 25 grams, 16 grams of garlic powder, 6 grams of onion powder, 95 grams of salt, 60 grams of cayenne pepper, 30 grams of star anise, 25 grams of MSG, 20 grams of white pepper, 6g of black pepper, 600 grams of flour, 200 grams of tapioca starch. So tapioca starch, a lot of the recipes that I've seen use cornstarch. I've found that tapioca sort of sticks to the wing better and adds a really nice light crunch, whereas corn flour can be a little bit too craggy. The best kind of buffalo sauce has a load of butter emulsified into it, so it's nice and rich. So that's sriracha, and then Worcestershire sauce, just a splash, a little bit of cayenne, a little bit of vinegar. It should be, I think, Frank's hot sauce, but we obviously use Fallow sriracha, which has got a little bit more depth. It's fermented, it's got garlic, lots of garlic in there. And then what I'm going to do is just get that over the heat and slightly warm it up. As soon as it starts to get warm, I'll take it off the heat and just monte a little bit of butter into it. Monte just means emulsify, so just little bits at a time. We've got nice cold butter, so it emulsifies nice and quickly. Basically, emulsification is you're just adding one fat to something that shouldn't naturally mix with fat. So every emulsion needs water, essentially. So, you know, you could even think about this similar to like a beurre blanc or anything like that. You've got a base of liquid, and you're just slowly off the heat. If you add the heat, you're just going to split the emulsion. And already you can see it's gone that nice sort of orange, tangy buffalo colour. That's what you're looking for. It's slightly darker than most buffalo sauce. You just got to wait 35 minutes. We'll come back to this as soon as our wings are cooked. And then the process just takes a little bit more time, but I guarantee it's worth it. So that has been 30 minutes in the steamer. They're now cooked all the way through. You can see the bones starting to poke out of them. The best way that I've found to make sure that they're really well coated, I take out a little bit of the resting juice. Now you've got all your marinade plus any juice from the chicken that's come out, so natural collagen. And I'm just going to add the rest of that into my buffalo sauce. This is a really good hack to get more flavour running through the buffalo. And they're still nice and warm. Be delicate with them because they are fully cooked. Add in a small portion of your dry dredge. So that is going to start the first layer of sort of crag and crust. And be fairly generous. You want them fully coated. And then what we're going to do is let them chill down on a tray in the fridge. So you can kind of see you've already got this like layer of crag that's formed. It's going to stop that outside layer from falling off, but also it's going to be really, really well flavoured because you've got all the kombu stock in there as well. And it's important now to let them fully dry out. So that'll take, you know, anywhere between, you could do this the day before, or you could do it for 4 or 5 hours. So we've got the dry dredge here, and then we've got the thing that we dip them into before we fry. So again, it does seem like quite a long recipe, but there's method to the madness, because we found when we used egg whites, the wings develop this really nice crust. So we've got egg whites in there, buttermilk in there, we've got water in there. American recipes, the buttermilk is a tiny bit finer. I think we've got slightly thicker buttermilk over here. But yeah, and then you want to add a little bit of corn flour. Now these wings have cooled down, you can see you've got this nice layer of dredge. It's nicely set. And what we do now is we just go, the first one is into the dry dredge. Pat them off really nicely. You really don't want, like, I think the misconception when you're frying chicken is to get a really nice layer of thick dry dredge on there, and that makes that craggy effect. You actually kind of want the opposite. You want a really light layer, otherwise it'll sort of just flake and come off. At the end of the day, you want to be tasting the chicken, not the dredge. I'm just going to lightly pat off all of that dredge, and you can still see all the chicken. It's still not a very heavy coating. Okay, then into the wet, and then back into the dry. So really nice and light. And then what we can do is we can start loading it directly into the fryer once we've got them all made. So favourite chicken in London is probably Butchie's, I think, but then I love chicken sours as well. My sous chef at Fallow has said that I've not tried Popeyes, and apparently Popeyes is the best. Let's have a little debate in the comments section. Popeyes or KFC? This is American food, you know, where you guys came up with it, you invented it, you mastered it, shipped it around the world. For me, a chicken wing is the height of American food. Having opened a chicken restaurant, you really do appreciate how much work goes into it, and I just fully respect it. To do good chicken, you've got you need attention to detail, you need really good ingredients, you need sort of like an appreciation of flavour, cooking, a little bit of science. Right, so I'm blanching in the fryer, and look at the state of those. They're styled on KFC hot wings, because that is my favourite hot wing, but we just use much bigger birds because ours are a lot older. They're going to actually blanch for quite a fairly long time, so there's a few spices in there, so you don't want to take them too dark. But I reckon we're going to blanch that 140 degrees for about 7 minutes. Just brought that buffalo sauce up to the heat. Been 7 minutes now, and the first fry is kind of done. So just let them relax and let them rest for a little bit, and then we'll whack them in the 190 fryer just to get the final crisp. It's easy enough to do at home. To be honest, you could probably, if you're doing it at home, get yourself a probe and a heavy bottom pan. We'll whack them in the 190 now, and that'll just add a really, really nice layer of crunch. So at Fallow, we make this blue cheese fondue, good quality soft blue cheese, and it's basically a parfait. The best blue cheese always should be dippable. So there are our finished wings, and what you can see, all these little rivets and all of these little beautiful craggy bits, that's basically from the tapioca starch, flour, and importantly the baking powder. So that's what makes it all expand, and the water and protein in the buttermilk and the eggs leads to those beautiful ridges, and that's what you're looking for. We add our chicken seasoning and finish with some chives. So that is it. That is the ultimate buffalo blue cheese chicken wings.